in what environment would you suggest a network-wide white box solution? And I guess we could interpret environment a couple of ways. One would be the business environment. Where is that appropriate? And the other would be maybe more the network environment, data center, campus, service provider, et cetera, that you would consider network-wide white box solution.
I think that Whitebox has reached a point where I think it's good enough for most networks, for most use cases, but you still run into risk aversion where, because it doesn't have the logo on it, people are still hesitant to use Whitebox at this point in time.
So expand on that a little bit, Jed. You say good enough. What does that mean? So to me, that would mean stability and support and functionality.
Yeah, I agree with all that. It's sort of the 80-20 rule where right now I believe most white box equipment is good enough for at least 80% of use cases out there.
So with white box, are we thinking something like Cumulus and so on, or what are we defining as white box?
In my opinion, I'm thinking, Cumulus and MikroTik and Ubiquity, things like that.
Yeah. So you're still using a NOS, and you can still get support from that vendor and so on.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a disaggregated model, so we're presumably saving money on the switching hardware, but loading up a NOS of our choice on top. And Cumulus pops up in my mind as well.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the organization if they're ready to get into that kind of working in a bit more kind of with Linux networking, scripting, and so on. It's not so much I think about the technology itself. It's more about moving into more kind of DevOps workflow.
And I think that gets into the staffing. Okay, is the staff capable of supporting it properly?
For my take on it, I think with the original question, pretty much we're at the stage where any network design right now should at least take into consideration, can we handle this with white box solutions? And then as y'all mentioned, with the caveats and the finer details of that, you have to understand that you're migrating from a specific vendor CLI or a specific way of managing these devices and this infrastructure, and are we moving to a new model? Or what's it going to take to convert these engineers and these frontline support engineers into be able to handle these solutions? But you see that across the board, even between vendors. So you saw a lot of people who jump ship from like Cisco and went Arista, or who bounce back and forth between Cisco and Juniper, and the staff transitions with that. So it's just a different way of handling it. And you can go the route of automation, or you can go the route of using a third-party tool to manage the operating system and the configuration. There's a number of ways to go there. It's just nailing down exactly how your organization can do it the best.
Yeah, I think as Jed mentioned, that it's not really a question of technical capability. These white boxes have the majority of the features, functions you need. It's more about your operational environment.